what is happening in Korea? We recently had the crazy news that, South Korea's president just enacted martial law and said, actually, I didn't mean it, because the parliament all said, no, you can't do this. And we had that happen. But apparently, there's a sequel. There's a plot twist happening. Please, Mujin, let me know.
Guys, I cannot express to you the shock that I felt when I saw the news that came out of South Korea today. This image you're seeing,
Not as big as the shock as the video about the unhinged VTuber, where his wish list was like 5 tons of lube carrier.
right here will go down as one of the most iconic images in recent South Korean politics.
All right.
But for all the wrong reasons.
Tell me.
What just happened is as crazy as the martial law order from just a few days ago. I'd even argue it's crazier. We have to talk about it.
All right.
So let's do this. So a few days ago, the South Korean president decided to impose martial law without any announcements prior at 10:30 p.m. He ordered the military to block off the National Assembly because it was the only way to lift the martial law.
That's right. His entire plan was, when everyone's sleeping or it's bedtime, I'ma just let everyone know that, okay, we're gonna do this. And then the military also mobilized so that the parliament couldn't get in there to vote in time.
He tried his best to do a full military mobilization with even helicopters flying above. But thanks to many protesters coming out very late at night, going up against the military, and 190 legislators from the National Assembly showing up to vote, the martial law
Just 194 is 0 against and 0 undecided.
was lifted. What did the president have to say about this?
My bad. My B. Just a prank, bro. I didn't mean it. Shit.
Well, he was very sorry for causing anxiety with his declaration of martial law. He
Okay.
basically said, whoopsies, and left.
My B.
Like, what? This wasn't something
Is he gonna get away with it? Because based on the thumbnail, it sounded like he's gonna get away with it.
he could just get away with, though. This was the first instance of martial law in over 40 years. And even worse, once it was lifted, it turned out that he had ordered the arrest of the opposing party leader, as well as his own party
What?
leader. The dude
Classic?
leading his own party in the National Assembly. Like,
What?
things were not making any sense. He pretty much wanted everyone arrested. And I mean,
I think he's just going full God Emperor mode to just get rid of all the, immediate threats. My side, their side, I don't care. They can all die.
to many, this did sound like a coup, an attempt at taking absolute power. But get this, the next day, the president's political party held an emergency meeting to discuss this, to try to understand the logic behind this martial law that they had never heard of until
Okay.
its announcement. And they actually had this theory that the reason he declared martial law was because he was lonely and needed a friend to talk.
No, stop it. Stop it. No. If you were really lonely and you needed a friend to talk to, you don't have to enact martial law. You know what a host club is in Japan, or a hostess club? Surely something similar exists in Korea, right? You telling me you could have fucking ordered a fucking escort? No, if your wife, if your kid, if you don't have any friends or anyone close to you, there's paid services to do it better, bro. What the fuck are you doing calling martial law on the entire nation because you were lonely? You know where this is going, right? You've seen Team America, World Police. That's right. America, fuck yeah. I close asking only this question. How in God's name could Trey Parker and Matt Stone somehow predict this 20 years ago? The plot line, was it something similar where Kim Jong-un did something like that?
Talk to. Dude, what are South Korean politics? Like, what are we doing here?
Like, I don't believe it. It sounds like a carefully crafted, believable, maybe, stupid reason to justify his call. Like, what's he gonna say? My bad, I didn't mean it? Well, I don't know. Let's try to go with the more, like, the PR team is like, let's try to go with like a more humanizing, relatable way. Let's carefully craft this image of a lonely, isolated president who just wanted a friend to talk to. Okay, that might make sense. But like, bro, what? You needed martial law for that?
What is this? Now, even though he wanted to arrest his own party leader, his apology contained a contradictory piece of information that he was trying to convey to the South Korean people. He said, I'll leave it up to my party to take steps to stabilize the political situation in the future, including the issue of my term in office, promising there would be no second attempt to impose martial law.
What if we get phase 3? Because this is phase 2 right now. What if he does it again? He's like, all right, bet. Let's do it again.
So zero intention of stepping down as president, instead saying, you know what, my party's gonna handle it. Just forget
If he actually does it again, bro, that's gonna be fucking crazy. If he gets away with this shit because he said he was lonely, and he's like, all right, first round, that was a bit of an L, boys. I fucked up. All right, now we know what to do, okay? This time we'll do it better, and boom, he does it again.
But it doesn't work that way. He can just wake up 6 months or 12 months from now and decide, you know what, I'm president again. Obey me. So it's no surprise that the opposing party wanted to impeach him as soon as possible.
He should be impeached.
Expecting his own party to turn on him so that they can vote for the impeachment as well. And while the president promised that he wasn't going to impose martial law for a second time, some legislators were not going to take any risk like this one.
They're camping the parliament. The building, remember, the way to, you know, kind of like the way to, you know, counter the martial law was for everyone to get in this building and vote. And what they were trying to do is announce that shit late at night and have the military, you know, block people off. So now people are camping. It's like a fucking I'm not sure if it's correct to call it like a Black Friday, you know, event or like Boxing Day where people are fucking camping outside of like Apple stores and shit like a week in advance to get the newest release of whatever. But yeah, the politicians are gonna be camping now.
One from the opposing party literally sleeping in the National Assembly.
They spawn camping.
So he doesn't get caught by surprise like the first time. It's crazy. I asked the question again, what the hell are South Korean politics? Like, what is this?
I don't know, bro. I guess we're fucking really bored up there.
Regardless of the fact that a legislator was literally sleeping in the National Assembly, December 7th had finally arrived. This was it. The legislators were about to meet up to vote to impeach the president.
Okay.
And even though the weather was 0 degrees Celsius, thousands of people had shown up to stand in front of the National Assembly to show their support for the impeachment of the president. Look at this crazy amount of people. It's staggering. It was clear.
Roger D. Whatever. Yoon for one more term. This gotta be an ironic tweet, right? The duality of man. It's amazing how dedicated the protests are, despite the cold. People are really committed to making their voices heard. Yoon for one more term. The duality of man.
This is what South Koreans wanted. But unfortunately for them, it wasn't that simple. I spoke about this in my previous video. This is how the National Assembly is divided in South Korea in terms of parties.
That's right. The opposition, the Democratic Party, the blue, they heavily outweigh the party that's in power.
There are 300 seats total. So the red is the People Power Party. This is the party of the president. The blue, which is the majority, is the Democratic Party. This is the opposing party who has tried to impeach the president over 22 times, even before the martial law coup. And the other colors you see here are the other parties that were voted in.
Just a bunch of fucking stragglers.
And sometimes having 1 seat or 3 seats, for example. The Democratic Party had an agreement with those smaller parties. They were going to be allies and vote together on the impeachment of the president.
Okay.
But there was one problem. There were only 192 members.
Nani?
In order for a bill to pass, 2/3 of the people present in the National Assembly need to vote yes.
2/3.
Impeachment, though, is an exception where it needs a minimum of 200, period.
That's bullshit. Who made this fucking shit up? 200 minimum? This is such a biased way of using democracy.
It doesn't matter if you show up or not. This meant that the Democratic Party, as well as the smaller parties, needed to rely on a few backstabbing votes in the People Power Party to go against their own president in order to achieve the 200 vote threshold to impeach him.
Well, is it rigged? Because think about it. There's a flat number, but the what's the word? The distribution of the seats, right? In the National Assembly. Look how skewed it is to the Democratic Party. So the rule like that exists so that because the opposition has so much control over the National Assembly, they could just do whatever the fuck they want if they're all together. So a rule like this, I guess, kind of like overcomes this bias where one party actually has so much influence over the National Assembly. Then you could assume like, well, how did they even get that much influence in the beginning? Does this make sense? I don't know. I'm very ignorant and very uneducated in politics, but while it may sound rigged, looking at the distribution of the seats like this, a flat number like that, that kind of like overrides the majority rule, kind of makes sense.
In theory, this should be simple because the president wanted to arrest his own party leader. But of course, nothing is ever simple in politics. The party leader of the People Power Party, Han Dong-hoon,
People Power Party, PPP. It's potty jokes.
who the president wanted arrested during the martial law order, had said that yes, the president is hopeless, he needs to step down, but didn't quite want to impeach him. He actually had a different idea.
Wait.
He wanted to strip all power from the president and get the prime minister to do his duties instead.
Okay.
This is obviously something unprecedented and something that the opposing party has called illegal, crazy. But the logic behind such a proposition is something we've seen over and over again in many.
So basically get rid of President Yoon, but don't impeach him, and rather replace him with Han Duck-soo, who is the current prime minister for the... Okay, and he would represent the opposition. Okay.
Countries throughout history.
So not the opposition, the PPP. PPP is the President Yoon, right? Opposition is the Democratic Party, the blue that we've seen.
Han Dong-hoon and the People Power Party did not want to give up, well, their power. They're the government.
Yeah, that makes sense to me, right? Even if their leader crashed out, he doesn't represent all of, you know, the PPP, right? So I think it makes sense that they would just, you know, say, fuck this guy, get him out. But at the same time, we want to retain the power and rather try to go around the way and bring the fucking prime minister in.
Governing party until 2027, until the president's current term ends. And
2027, god damn, we still got fucking 2 years left.
they simply don't want to give this up, even though, right, this dude was about to be arrested if the martial law wasn't stopped by the opposing party. He is still clinging on to power. This
Very interesting situation again, because this guy was about to get arrested. President Yoon, remember, the opposition and his own, you know, people, like, he was like, fuck them both. But again, it's in their best interest because this is a better outcome than rather that, because if impeachment didn't happen, I'm going to assume that PPP, right, they would lose more influence and power compared to a situation where they're like, all right, even if my own leader try to fuck me over, there's another way where we can just replace that idiot with someone else and we can retain the power and still come out on top.
of course, worried the Democratic Party that this vote wasn't going to pass, that he was going to order all his legislators to not show up to the vote. So they came up with a plan. The Democratic Party, instead of just voting on the bill of impeachment, was going to vote on another bill first. The prosecution of the First Lady of South Korea, the president's wife. Look, she's been in many scandals.
The scandal that I heard about her is like exactly the luxury bag gift. So in Korea, there's like a limit. Like I forget the dollar amount, but like a limit of like what you can receive as a gift because obviously political bribery and shit. I think she got like a luxury bag, yeah, Dior bag, and that shit was so expensive, and there was a lot of controversy around the Dior bag.
Scandals. Okay, in the beginning of the year, she had a scandal where she had accepted a Dior bag from a pastor, which was pretty much bribery.
That's hilarious. From a what?
In the beginning of the year, she had a scandal where she had accepted a Dior bag from a pastor.
From a pastor? Here's the thing. Christianity in Korea, I think, is pretty huge. Churches, I mean, hey, my anime reaction enjoyers, y'all see what happens in churches and isekais, right? Where do you think the corruption of churches, you know, the themes, the stereotypes comes from? Real life. How many times have you seen in America, too, these crazy mega church people, you know, that just gets away with tax fraud? Not tax fraud. They don't have to pay tax because they're a fucking church, all right? There's so much corruption and bribery happening in there. The church is basically its own set of powers. And Korea, same shit, man. So the pastor giving a fucking Dior bag, like, I don't understand that part. They're apparently, they're like, what is the logic? Like, would Jesus want you to just be bougie as fuck? I feel like excess luxury is kind of like contradictory of what Christianity should represent or like what religion should represent, but fucking fine about religion.
Which was pretty much bribery, according to the Democratic Party. But more recently, the Democratic Party alleges that she was involved in stock manipulation and election nomination interference.
Hey, I mean, shit. Nancy Pelosi just gets away with all the insider trading she wants, but this lady ain't getting wrong with it.
Some very serious level stuff. And unlike the whole Dior bag case where they wanted to assign 3 prosecutors, they wanted to assign 30 different
10X.
prosecutors
Goddamn.
on this case. So obviously, if something like this passes, the People Power Party, let's just call them PPP from now on, is in big trouble. And their hopes and dreams of clinging on to power, even though their president did something extremely irresponsible, vanish. They had to show up and vote no on this bill.
What a fucked up situation, man. What an insane situation where in any other circumstance, everyone will be together to vote impeach, but because of this exception, like, they're like, nah, we shouldn't impeach the guy even though he should be impeached.
They had to show up and vote no on this bill. What the Democratic Party was going to do is that as soon as they voted no on this bill, they would immediately start the vote on the second bill, which was the impeachment of the president, forcing them to be there. This obviously sounds like a genius 5D chess move on paper, but was it actually going to work? It remained to be seen. But one thing was for certain, many South Koreans were on the streets.
Oh yeah.
And not just any South Koreans, right? You had all sorts of South Koreans, like straight up idols who usually remain apolitical, show up to protest this. You have people from all sorts of economic backgrounds.
Just a giant. Whoever is creating this, remember, the best way to make money is to sell shovels, right? If there's a gold rush, don't go fucking go farm the gold. Give them the shovels. So right now, a lot of people are pissed off and they're witch hunting. You know what we do? You sell the pitchforks, right? All right, it's time to make some merch, all right? Anybody wants some middle finger sticks? Everybody, like me.
All sorts of different neighborhoods, all coming to protest in their own way. I mean, just look at this. Seriously, look at this. Someone recreated the head of the president and is slapping it with a hammer. Some dude just showed up with a baguette.
What's the meaning of the baguette? France? Because France is all about, you know, rebelling and standing up for government injustice and protesting and rioting. So the baguette is supposed to also be that?
It's the straight up baguette. Again, what is South Korea? These protests even spread to Japan. It wasn't just a South Korean thing. This had spread worldwide. Everyone was hoping that a leader like this gets held accountable, not just for the sake of the South Korean people, but for the sake of their democratic systems. A lot was riding on this, and it was almost time. As expected by the Democratic Party and its allies, the PPP had shown up because of the first bill against the First Lady. Okay, everyone was in place. There were no absentees. But as I mentioned earlier, this plan looked good on paper. But reality was about to be very different. The vote to prosecute the First Lady was actually extremely close, only missing 2 votes to reach 200, which meant...
Ooh, that means she got away. Because remember, you had to reach 200.
That 6 different legislators from the PPP party, from the president's own party, voted to prosecute the First Lady. And yes, while the vote failed, it was expected. However, it gave people hope. Okay, like if there's 6 people going up against the president already, they must vote to impeach him.
But what if that 6 were paid actors? You think that they're voting because of justice and righteousness? Or do you think that this is all just carefully calculated optics and aesthetics? Carefully just calibrating the numbers such that, oh, you missed it just by 2, but maybe there's hope. Maybe there's some good people over there. Surely the next one won't lose, right?
Right? Well, as you can see from this image, as soon as the first vote ended, the second vote started, and every single PPP member, except for 3, all stood up and left the room.
Damn. I mean, shit. That's again. This is again. I'm not sure if I'm understanding this correctly, but they don't like the president. President Yoon sucks. He tried to fucking take out their own people. But in this very special case, it's actually in the PPP's best interest to not impeach him, but to replace him with the prime minister, so PPP still has net positive power and influence compared to a situation where President Yoon did get impeached. So it's just, like, everybody is just the loyalty right now, the planning, the scheming behind the scene. This is a classroom of the elite shit.
This is an image of the National Assembly hallway, and here you
also bald.
You can see some of the PPP legislators that stood up and left being shouted at in protest by the people there. They were in disbelief over what had just happened.
Because again, these people do not represent the people. All of these fucking corpo suits politicians cares about is staying in power. If there's true justice and righteousness, President Yoon should be gone. Everyone is all agrees of that. But the game of politics, it's very nuanced. There's more to it than that.
The Democratic Party didn't just let this slide. They all stood up and started calling each individual name of the PPP legislators that had decided to leave the
shame. It's like an attendance roster list. Shame.
National Assembly. Watch.
권영세 의원, 권영진 의원, 김건 의원, 김기웅 의원.
They were not going to let them go away without shaming them, each and every single one of them.
But do you think the shaming is going to do anything at the end of the day? What if this is also just like fucking internet drama where after 2 weeks, ain't nobody going to remember these fucking shit or like the names? Like they'll remember the event, but these specific legislators, like, you think they care? I don't know.
But even after doing so, none of them came back, right? The vote had officially failed. And the Democratic Party legislators, as well as their allies, had also begun to leave the National Assembly.
I wonder what President Yoon is thinking. That he's like, wow, did I just actually get away with this? Like, imagine being him. Because like, I don't think he planned this shit. It's just complete. The stars fucking aligned. The stars actually aligned where he did the most retarded shit possible. He should be impeached in any certain scenario. But in this specific case, even if the president tried to cut the head of the next leader of the PPP, they're like, nah, actually, no, we can't impeach you even though we don't like you. We need your ass to get replaced by the prime minister so PPP can still stay in power. That's crazy. That's crazy. And now, and President Yoon, exactly. What's President Yoon gonna do? He's like, oh shit, I didn't get impeached? Can I just do it again? he probably thinks he's chosen by the gods right now, right? There's no way he's probably thinking this is like divine retribution. This is like, oh my god, the heavens have actually received my calls. My prayers has been responded. I am the chosen one. All right, motherfuckers, military rule again.
When the news of the impeachment failing started circulating, this was the reaction of the thousands of protesters sitting in freezing weather outside.
Ooh.
Watch.
Rejected.
Obviously, they weren't happy. Look, the reality is that, according to Gallup Korea, the president's approval rating has plummeted down to 13%, dude. That's insane.
Who cares? This guy is beyond redemption. These ratings doesn't fucking matter. All he has to do is fucking do another military coup. He's over. There is no coming back. Either he steps down, gets replaced by prime minister, or he attempts a second military coup. That's it. Like, there's no way you're getting the favor back.
Insane. That means that almost 9 out of 10 South Koreans are going to tell you that they want this president out, impeached, replaced. This means that, objectively speaking, the legislators not voting to impeach him are going directly against what the South Korean people want.
Yeah, and this is the biggest lie that everyone eats up. You think these politicians exist to serve you? You think these are public servants? They are. And they should be. But make no fucking mistake. Humans are disgusting monkeys. We are just drowned in greed and just hungry for power and it's just humanity fucking sucks. And maybe I'm too black-pilled and I refuse to see the good in people, but I always choose to see the worst in people because that at least sets me up for some sort of protection. And this isn't too surprising to me that politicians would go against the cries of the public to get this guy impeached, but rather say, nah, we have our different plans and our agenda is going to keep us in power for a longer time so that we can continue doing this shit. Make no fucking mistake, the government will never help you. You need to help yourself. What does that mean at the end of the day? I don't know. It's an abstract idea. But never fucking expect the government or somewhere else to like save you. This shit will never happen.
The opposing party was not going to let this slide. On the official National Assembly Twitter account, here's what they had to say in a statement posted recently. They said, "It is very regrettable that a vote was not even held on such an important national issue." They said the failure to vote on this issue means that the democratic procedure for judging whether something is good or not failed. I'm paraphrasing since this translation is really bad. And then they said,
I can read this, but my vocabulary, because I immigrated to Canada when I was in like elementary school, I have a very limited amount of vocabulary. So this is the best I can do too.
"On behalf of the National Assembly, I apologize to the people." Shortly afterwards, the floor leader of the PPP resigned. He's being accused of having colluded with the president in declaring martial law. He was a...
I wonder if he's the fall guy. I wonder how much of a golden parachute he received to be the scapegoat right now.
Afterwards, the floor leader of the PPP resigned. He's being accused of having colluded with the president in declaring martial law. He was aware of it, unlike most other people. The Democratic Party is not going to let this go away. They're already planning the next vote to impeach the president.
We can just keep doing this shit? but like you gotta reach 200. And you can't without the help of PPP, right? What is this gonna do? Are they just gonna fucking walk out again? Can you try to have the other seats that exist? Could they make up the extra 10? Because no, they can't, right? I don't know how this shit works, but like if this is all dependent on PPP to change their minds, I don't think anything's gonna change.
Starting as early as next week. And many South Koreans are not giving up anytime soon because this had actually happened back in 2016.
Oh yeah, dude, Park Geun-hye, like this drama, have you guys heard of this shit? Like she was involved in some cult voodoo shit. Like genuinely, it's some like webtoon shit, like Korean drama shit. It's like there was some like god, there was like some kind of queen entity that was part of some big cabal cult feeding whispers and shit. It's crazy. The shit that happened back then is actually insanity.
Then the first female South Korean president was accused of corruption and extortion. And even though the proof was on the table, it was well known, it took weeks to impeach her. Multiple votes and millions of protesters showing up every single week to the
eventually
National
happened
Assembly.
though.
Many are hoping that with enough protest, the same thing happens with this president and that it takes, of course, less time. If the president's impeached, there will be a new election that will be held within 60 days to find a new president.
It would actually be so funny. Again, it's pretty fucked up, right? Military coup bad, martial law bad, but the absurdity of President Yoon saying, "I was lonely, I just wanted someone to talk to, I'll never do it again." And he says, "I'm gonna do it one more time." The absurdity of that is just hilarious to me. Dude, if he does it, holy shit.
And I think it's safe to say that if there is an election, the PPP will have a very hard time winning. Thanks so much for watching the video till the end, guys, and thank you so much for your recent support. This is yet again another all-nighter. And
thank you, Mujin.
I'll probably update you if the impeachment goes through. Otherwise, expect other videos coming, well, pretty damn soon. Thanks so much. I love you so much.
Phase 3 incoming. So basically, right? TLDR, TLDW. I think that the simplest way to understand this is President Yoon said martial law, and everyone else is like no, and he said, "Oh, my bad," and now people are like, "Impeach this motherfucker," and everyone's like, "Yeah, impeach him." But here's the thing: his own people, his own party, which he betrayed, said, "Nah, we're not going to impeach him, even though he deserves to, because we want to stay in power and we'll put someone else up there, the prime minister." And now this guy gets away with it, not because he did anything correct or right or smart, but because the stars again aligned. Just heavenly, just miracle for this guy. And he has two options: stay low and just, sit aside and let the PPP do whatever they want, or he can try for military coup again. I don't know. It's crazy that he made that fucking excuse that he was just lonely and desperate and wanted to talk to a friend as an excuse. What a crazy situation. And at the end of the day, you should never expect the government to help you. Never ever expect some other entity, even though the government should. I absolutely agree that the government and the politicians should be acting on behalf of the people of that nation because they're public servants. But again, human creatures, we are absolute fucking baboons, monkeys, right? We are so greedy and just like so corrupt. And anytime you give people power, they're going to go corrupt and they're going to now decide to protect their own rather than serving the people. So phase 3 incoming. It'll be pretty fun. Again, the military coup and the threats of, martial law is not fun. That's serious, bullshit. But the idea that this dude said, I won't do it, my bad. And he's like, one more time. Another one. Here's a link to Mujin's video. Please go give it a like. Check out his channel if you haven't. I'll see you guys next time.